Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew, and I'm from the Wix Studio team, and welcome to the webinar. We are super excited to introduce you to the world of Wix Studio, the web creation platform built for agencies and freelancers, where you can deliver exceptional, high-quality sites in the most efficient way. The platform was designed with you in mind, so we're going to cover many of the layers of creating and managing multiple projects while maintaining quality. Today, we have Avishai Harsinai joining us. He's a Wix partner, and he will be talking about best practices for incorporating your workflows into Wix Studio. Before we get started, just a little bit of administrative info. If you have any questions, we're going to manage them differently than from in the chat. So please, if you have any questions, use the Q&A button. You can see it on the menu in the bottom. Those are the best way to answer your questions. We'll have a few people here managing Q&A. And the Q&A box is not the chat box. Feel free to make comments in the chat box as much as you'd like. Give feedback if you're enjoying yourself. But the questions and answers, we're going to be monitoring the Q&A feature here in Zoom. And if you are going to comment in the chat box, make sure that you have it sent to all panelists and attendees so that everybody can see what you wrote, and we can all address the comment. This session is being recorded, and it will be available to you afterwards for you to watch back and recap if you missed something. So sometimes if we go a little fast, you'll be able to watch it later. Anything we cover in this webinar, you'll find tons more info and learning resources in our academy, like our Wix Studio Essentials course. We have how-to tutorials and other webinars available to you at wix.com/studio/academy. Also, if you haven't already, please join our forum, the Wix Studio Forum. In the forum, we have our UX peeps, designers, and product managers all there actively answering questions. And there's tons of lively discussions and sharing there. So feel free to sign up to join those conversations over at wix.com/studio. So enough talking from me. I think you didn't come here to hear from me. I'm going to hand it over to you, Avishai.
Thank you very much, Matthew. I'm very happy to be here with you today. My name is Avishai. I'm the owner of Sorbet Agency. And let's get started. In this webinar today, we will learn how to create those interesting interactions. We will learn how to create this hover interaction with the map, this accordion interaction, and this nice section. For those of you who did enjoy yesterday's webinars, yesterday we created those four sections: the first section, second section, this section with a repeater, and this interaction. Today we will create those sections. I advise you, for those who want to learn how to create the top part of the website, to check out my previous webinar. So let's get started. I will start with doing a quick recap of what we covered yesterday. We talked about the way we use stack. We learned that there is a new feature called horizontal stack, which we can stack elements horizontally. We can change the gaps between them while using this handle. And there is another handle for the vertical change. If I will click Shift, I will simultaneously be able to control the gaps, and they will keep the same ratio. The way one question that was raised yesterday is, how do I unstack? It's very simple. I simply drag and drop one element to the side of the stack, and it's unstuck. As you can see, those elements maintain their stack. I can easily add elements to a stack by dragging. Then when I see the attach notification, I can just drop the element and it's automatically being stacked. I can centralize it. And here we go. What we've lost the gap, and we can create a gap right here. I'm standing on the stack, and I can create a unified distance between all the elements. Now, let's center this stack to the horizontal center. And this is what we did. This is what we learned yesterday. I remind you that we also learned that for each textual field, when we set it to scale proportionately, we need to give it a minimum size so it will be suitable for the smaller viewports for mobile view. Another thing that we learned yesterday, that we can pull this paragraph and set this width. Another way to do it, I'm now controlling Command Z, is to dock it to the right. I'm going to the docking section, docking it to the right, and give it a percentage. For example, 20%. All right, so this is a quick recap for the first section. Yesterday, we learned how to use the super grid. I would like to show you something interesting. If we want to swap between two cells, we can do it easily. Selecting a cell and another, and I'm selecting a cell and another cell, and I just click swap. Since we work based on the best practice method of responsive behavior, automatically all the cells will be responsive across all breakpoints. Let's go back to our main view. I remind you that we can easily change the size of the cells while using those handles. Now, let's go back to the original design. Yesterday, we learned about the repeater and how we can create an A/B set design. And I want to show you another feature that we didn't cover yesterday. Let me stand on the repeater. We used an A/B design layout. We can also create the repeater from the top, manage, and here we can control all the elements. So you should know that as well. And we set the set per items row toggle. So now I decided that we will have a number of 4 items on one row. If I unselect it, the repeater will wrap. Let's see how it looks. When I go to a narrower view, the repeater decides automatically when to break. And this is how it looks on tablet, and this is how it looks on mobile. I prefer to work manually, so I will have more control. So I'm toggling it on, and it's set up for 4 items per row. And as you can see, it maintains it. Yesterday, we also covered the hover interaction. Today, we will learn a bit more about it in a more advanced way. And we learned how to set a spinning interaction to an element. All right, now let's get started with creating this section. I will start by adding a section. I will add a map. So this is our map. Let's see the default behavior of the map in its relationship to its parent into the section. The section is set to scale proportionately, so is the map. When I'm changing different screen sizes, I can see that the ratio between the height and the width remains the same. Now, the key or the most important thing while adding pins to the map, so they will always be on the same area of the map, regardless of the screen size. And there are a few ways to do it. I will teach you one way. And this way is by setting up the image to a fixed size. Let's do a quick recap. If I will select relative width, the height will remain the same, while the width will change in a proportionate way. As you can see, the height keeps its value, while the width is changing. When I select fixed size, it means that it will maintain its fixed size. And when I stretch it, it will stretch across the section. So in order to create this interactive map, I will go to the smallest viewport, to the smallest screen size, and I will change the map according to this size, so it will fit this size. The smallest, the most narrow mobile phone has 320 pixels width. So I'll set it up to the most narrowest version of mobile phones out there. And in order to make to find the real ratio of the image, I will right-click the image, or I can even do it by clicking on the settings, and I will reset the image. So now it maintains its 320 pixel width, and it set it up to 207 height. So this will be our fixed size for this map. This is how it looks on mobile. Let's center it. This is how it looks on tablet. Because of the cascading rule, the changes that I did are not applied to higher screen sizes. So I'll need again to set it up to fixed size and add the values manually, 320 and 207. I will do the same on the desktop view, set it up to fix, 320 pixel width and 207 pixels height. Let's set it up to the middle. Look how check how it looks on tablet, and check the view on mobile. As you can see, the size of the map remains the same on all breakpoints. Now let's start playing with the pins. I will add 2 pins using the quick add option. I will add a shape. I will change it. I will give this icon a nice color. And I will place it on Brazil. Copy and paste, and here I have another one, and paste and add the other on India. Let's give it a bit. Okay, now it's more accurate. Now let's check the behavior of those elements without editing them yet. On tablet, we can see that the map remains at the center, but the icons didn't keep their original position, and they got smaller because the original default for every element added is scaled proportionately. On mobile, the map maintains its size. However, the icons are now very small and they totally out of place. So what we want to do, we want to fix the size of those elements. Now let's check out what these cost. What is the result? Let's examine this behavior. Again, we see that the map and the elements kept their original size. However, the position of the icons are not aligned with the map. And the way to fix it is to set them up to be to set them up to the sizes of the map and not the size of the section itself. As you can see, they are automatically docked to the section, and I would like to dock them onto the map. And the way to do it is with a container. I will add a container. I will set it up to fixed size, and I will give it the exact dimensions of the map, 320 over 207. I will drag the map into the container. I will stretch it across the container. And now I have a container at the same size of the image. I will take the 2 pins and attach them to the container. And now you can see that they are docked to the container, and they will move on the X and Y axes based on the size of the container. Let's center the container and let's examine the behavior. This is how it looks on desktop. This is how it looked on tablet. We can see that the pins stayed at the right place. And this is how it looks on mobile. Perfect. We've got the behavior that we want. I want to tell you that this is one way of doing it. There is another way, a bit more complicated way, to use a map that will also scale proportionately. It means that it will be bigger on desktop and smaller on tablet, and then even smaller on mobile. And the way to do it is to apply a chain of, let's say, a chain of we can call it a flex box. But basically, what we will do, we will apply a flex box across it, and we will create different boxes that will make it responsive in its size. It's a bit more complicated, and perhaps we can cover it in future webinar. But now we are working on the most simple use case of this behavior. So now now we set the map, and those icons are consistent with their position. Let's check out our design, and we saw that we created this layout. And now let's try to duplicate it. And I will take the container, place it on the side. I will right-click the section, divide it into two parts, and divide this cell into two parts. Remember that we can swap between two cells. So I'm clicking one cell, holding the control key, clicking the other cell, and making a swap. I will easily adjust the size of this cell, and I will add a title. Note that the size of the section has changed. Let's get back to its original size, 500 pixels height. Now let's adjust the text of blend's origin. Blend's origin. And yesterday we learned of the best practice of using of applying a text into a cell. So we will stretch it across two sides and add padding into the cell. Let's say 3% to the top and to the bottom. Now let's align the text to the center. Okay. And we should not forget to give the title a minimum height of 30 pixels. Let's center this container and check our work. This is how it looks on desktop, tablet, and mobile. We can see that the mobile view is a bit funky. We can stand on the section, and instead of collage, we can select rows. So now the system automatically changed the supergrid into rows. We want to switch between those two cells. And with a click of a button, we have this switch. We can arrange it a bit here, and we are more or less have the view that we want. Now let's go back to the desktop view, and let's work on creating this nice interaction. I will start by adding paddings to the cell of 10% this time across all sides. And I will add a container. I will stretch it across the section, the cell, and I will add into this container all the elements that I want. I will add an image. Let's start with an image of India. the Taj Mahal is always a safe bet. I will stretch it. I will change the opacity of the image a bit, something like this. And I will quickly add some text. Obviously, this part could be designed better, but the purpose of this demonstration is to show the behavior and not to focus on the design. So I will quickly duplicate those titles, give them information in here. I will align the text. Now I can even walk faster. I will delete those. I will give a minimum size of, let's say, 20 pixels for the mobile view. And when I copy and pasting those, they will keep the same properties. So let's quickly copy and paste it, add some information, for example, volume, 10 out of 13, and price. I can stack them all. And let's give them a 5% gap. I will align them to the horizontal and vertical center. And as a best practice, I will add padding to the stack of 5%. All right, now let's check the behavior across different breakpoint. Looks good on tablet, and it looks good on mobile. So now we have one card that shows the information of the Indian origin. What I would like to do now is to stand on the container and with Command C and Command V, copy and paste it. All right, so now we have a new container. And in order for us to work in an organized way, I can go to the Layers panel and give each container a name. By the way, I can name every element here in a different name. So when I'm standing on this container, let's stand on this cell. When I'm standing on this container, all right, I want to change it into the Brazil information. So I will give it a name and we'll add Brazil. So this is the container that will have the information of Brazil. And this container will have the information of the Indian card. Yeah. So now we have under this cell, the right cell, we have two containers, one called Brazil and the other one called India. I will change the image in the Brazilian card into an image of Brazil. Let's go with this image and update it. I will change the text. All right. So now we have different information and in different image of two different cards. I will stand on the container and I will stretch it so it will fit the cell. So let's recap of what we've done. We've got this cell. Under this cell, we have two containers. One named Brazil and the other one named India. Now let's work on the hover interaction. When I'm standing on this icon that represents India, I would like to apply the interaction into the India card. And the way to do it is to go to the interactions, select hover interaction, add the interaction, and select the relevant container. let's stand on this icon, hover interaction, add. We can select choose from canvas, and we can select the relevant card named India. So now the hover interaction will apply to the India container, and I will select appear. Done. Let's do the same for the Brazilian icon. Select hover interaction, add, choose on canvas, and select Brazil container. We also need to select the type of interaction that we want, and this is appear. So now we have created two interactions, and let's check our work. When I hover the Indian icon, I see the Indian card. When I hover on the Brazil icon, I see the Brazil information. We've done it. Let's see how it looks across different breakpoints. This is how it looks on tablet, and this is how it looks on mobile. We have the behavior that we wanted without even using one line of code. Now let's make some design adjustments. In our example, we have those lines. And for those of you that think that we used like lines as properties, what we did here is actually used the properties of the supergrid in order to create it. And the way to do it is to stand on the section, change the background color into black. Now, don't be alarmed. You see that everything now looks black. But what the system actually did is turned the cell's original color into transparent. So now when I'm standing on the cell, all I need to do is to change the background opacity into 100. I will do the same for the other cells. And while standing on the section, I will add gaps. Let's give it 10 pixels for horizontal gap and vertical gap, and check our work. We have the design that we wanted on all breakpoints. Let's move on. The next section that we want to create is this beautiful sections of the locations of the branches. And the way to do it actually is to use a preset section. We can find it here. Going to layout tools. We have the section grids. We have repeaters. We have tabs that are also interactive elements that we can use. We have accordions, which we will use right now. We have slideshow repeaters and light boxes, basically pop-ups. Let's select the accordion and add it to our site. I would like it to be spread across all the section, and I would like to anchor it to the top. Now I can simply drag the bottom of the section, and now I have the accordion fits across my section. And now I would like to add this already made and already responsive accordion. As you can see, it fits in nicely on all breakpoints. I'm going to manage items, standing on the about, and we have the first accordion item open for us. Let's change the name to London. Can use capital letters. I think it will look better. And let's work on the design. I will delete what we have here, and I will add an image Let's select a nice image. Can use this one. I will stretch it, and I can simply drag the bottom, or can go to the inspector panel and give it 400 pixels height. So now we've added the image. We can add this address part. It's basically a container that has text in it, and I don't want to waste time of adding it, so I've already prepare it. Okay, I see that it's not here. Let's create it quickly. I will quickly add a container. I don't want to waste time on design, so I will do it very quickly. So I have a container. I will add a text into this container. I will give it the minimum height of, let's say, 5 pixels, and we'll attach it to the right and middle. Let's see how it looks on tablet, and on mobile it needs a bit of adjustment. Here we go. All right, so now we have one item ready, and let's play a bit with the design. I would like to have a black background. So I'm under background fields. I'm selecting a black background. I will change the size of the font. Let's first of all select a color so you can see it, and I will change the size to 40 pixels. I think it have a better look like this. And another thing that I would like to do is to change the colors of those white borders. I will do it by going to containers. I will change the background, the gray background, to black as well, and change the bottom border into white. So now I have the look and feel that I want. We have London, and we have the look and feel that we want. We can now simply go to Manage Item, delete the items that we don't want, and duplicate the design that we want. Let's change the name into Berlin. Sorry. And rename this to New York. Now we can easily replace the image. Let's find a nice image. This could be a nice image. And do the same for New York. This image could work. And here you have it. Let's check our work. Let's check it across other breakpoints. In a few minutes, we have this interesting interactive behavior. And that's a beautiful feature of Wix in general and Wix Studio. You can always go to layout tools and select different layout tools like tags and repeaters. And you also have already made and designed sections that you can choose. Just simply add them to your site. They are all already responsive, and it's a good way to speed up your processes and get inspired. Okay, so we've created this interactive map. We created this accordion section. Now let's move on to this section. I will add another section, and I will divide it into 4 cards. I will add an image to every card. I will select images with more bright colors, like this one. I can add this image, add another image. This should look well. And I can randomly add another image. And here I can show you another interesting property of Wix Studio is generative AI. I can create an AI image in 2 simple steps. I will add my prompt, man drinking coffee. I will select a photorealistic style, and that's it. Create an image. Wix is integrated with OpenAI, and if you are familiar with the DALL-E technology, it works on the same principles, and it generates AI images. I will go with this image. I can now edit it, crop it, or make some adjustments. I will take it as is. And now it will appear in this cell. And the way I created this nice logo effect is by changing the angles of each cell. And the way to do it is I'm going to the corners. I'm adding 350. Let's first uncheck this, so I will be able to create angles here and here. So this is how it looks. I will do the same for this cell, going to corners, changing this corner here and this corner here. So I have this, do the same here. And in the last cell, I will do the same thing. All right. And now I would like to edit the section itself. I can add an image or a video to it as a background. I will select video and search for coffee-related images. And there is nice, interesting coffee bean video. I will add it to the background, add some margins to the section itself, let's say 10%. And let's see what we have created. We've got this very interesting and very beautiful section with the video at the back and the company logos composed from different images. We can see that it works beautifully on tablet as well and on mobile. Now let's see our reference, and we can see that we've managed to create one pager of the coffee brand with interactive features in roughly an hour. So that's it from me, guys. Matthew, we are going back to you. Matthew, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Sorry. Thank
Great.
you very much for that wonderful presentation.
You're welcome.
Right. So, let me just see here. All right. Before we get started into the question and answers, I'm going to be sharing a link with you in the chat. It's a feedback form. Feel free to reply in a little bit with all of your feedback. We'd love to hear what you have to say. So here I'm sending it right now. And it was already sent as well by one of our moderators. All right, so shall we dive into some questions? Let's do it. All right. So the first question we have for you, Avishai, other than on a map, where else can I apply the pins workflow that you've created?
That's a good question. Actually, this behavior can be applied into many different options. And I can quickly show you one interesting option for, let's say, an e-commerce website. We can change the image. Instead of a map, we can use an image of a model. Let's go with this image. And I can just move this a bit to here. And here we've got a nice interactive pins that can, for example, show the price of this brown jacket and the price of this shirt. So we can apply this method to many other designs that you can imagine. And you can apply the same behavior that instead of hovering and showing information of different blends origin, you can show different prices. You can even create a hover that won't be in a different section. You can create a hover that will be on the image itself. It's very nice and very interactive, and you don't need to use a single line of code, and you can have beautiful solutions for e-commerce or other industries with using this method of hover interaction.
Oh, very nice. All right. So regarding hover interaction, do I need to apply the interaction to a container, or can I apply it to other elements?
You can apply it to other elements. I mean, in this example, we used a container because we had a complex information that we want to add. We had an image, we had textual information, and a good way to do it is to add all of those different elements into a container, and then apply the command, the appear command or any other command that you want on the container instead of applying it to different elements. But you can apply the interaction to a text, you can apply it to a stack, I think to every element. But you use a container if you have a complexity or different layers of information that you would like to add them together, to show them together in one unified way.
All right, great answer. Next question. So in your project, you used the accordion layout. Do you recommend using pre-made layouts?
Yes, absolutely yes. The reason is, first of all, it's a great way to learn how to use Wix Studio, because you have all the selection, all the behaviors, all the responsive behavior already set up onto the ready tool, and you can click it, you can play with it, and it's fully open for your designs. You know, there are tools like Wix Shops or Wix events. Those are closed tools. You have limits in what you can do with it. But the sections that are here in these panels are fully open for your designs, including all of those layout tools. You can add them to your website, learn how to work with the system, and the beautiful thing about them that they're already fully responsive. You can play with them as is, or as I did, just making some small tweaks like changing the image, changing the color of the background, and you can have a different look and feel to it. And it's a great tool. It saves a lot of time, and I highly recommend you to use it because it's also the best way to learn how to use Wix Studio.
Anything that helps me make a beautiful site as fast as possible. That's
yeah, indeed. Absolutely.
All right, let's look at the next question. Is it possible to delete elements from specific breakpoints while keeping them visible on others?
Yes, it's pretty easy to do. Usually the most common use case is on mobile. Sometimes you don't want to display all the information that you display on desktop. Let's do a quick example. If I want to, for example, remove this image, all right, while keeping it on other breakpoints, I simply stand on this cell and I can stand on this. Just a second. Stand on this cell and I can hide it. And I can hide this as well. And now we have one image on mobile, while on other breakpoints, we have all the images. So you can use the hide option in order to do this.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And let's see, I think this is the final question. Is the fit to screen size that, is the fit to screen size the same as setting the height to 100 VH?
Yes, that's an advanced question of people that has experience in Editor X. I will give you a quick example. When I set this section into fit to screen, it means that the size of the section will fill the whole viewport on tablet and on mobile. So yes, it's exactly like 100% viewport height. You can also play with it by going to the advanced mode, advanced sizing, and you can change it, for example, to 75% of viewport height, right? So it means that it will fill only 70% of every screen, 75% and 75%. And if I will change it into 100, it will fit, this section will fit the full viewport of the mobile. So you can tweak it and change it by going to sizing and advance. And if you just want the section to be full size, you can simply select fit to screen and it will fill the whole viewport of your screen.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's all the time that we have for questions today. The recording of this webinar will be uploaded to our Wix Studio Academy and our YouTube channel. But if you have any more questions, there were a ton of questions that we couldn't get to. Please head on over to the Wix Studio forum, or you can also actually do both. Join the Wix Studio Discord community and ask away. Our product and design teams will be more than happy to help you out. Thank you so much again, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye.